Hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter and I live on this classic wooden motor cruiser in Victoria, British Columbia, along with my pup Geordie, and we're fixing it up for some pretty extensive cruising someday. If that's the kind of thing you might be interested in, why don't you stick around and subscribe? We'd love to have you. Let's get going. Alright then, this week we're going to carry on with the never-ending project of the aft cabin hanging locker, which I'm enjoying. It's turning out to be a really great project. I'm loving it. It's going to look great. Sadly, we won't quite finish this week because there's lots left to do. However, if you are one of my beautiful patrons, I have a treat for you. I'm starting an early release program. So right after this video is done, you should get a notice in your Patreon feed that next week's video will be available for you to watch today. Advertisement free. So from now on, every week, my patrons will be able to watch the following week's episode in advance, 1 week earlier, without ads. All right then, let's get to work gluing up some panels. Well, scratch that, a quick trip to the hardware store for some glue. Okay, now we can get down to business. Woohoo, new glue does make it a lot easier. All right. A little bit in here, a little bit on there, all over the place, and we'll slide that around a little, make sure it's nice and gluey, yeah, and slide that around all over, make sure it's nice and gluey. Okay, I don't know how many panels I'm going to show you assembling because it's pretty much the same every time. Again, I'm always grateful that these things will stand on edge for at least a moment. And just like that, it's tomorrow. So this panel is done. Let's get it out of the clamps and finally glue up our last panel. All right. I can't wait to get these things cleaned up. I've already glued in the splines, so that's set to go. Oh, I'll be glad to get these panels done and onto some more fun stuff. I mean, not that this hasn't been riveting. For me, anyway. I don't know about for you, but I mean, come on. I'm actually getting better at this. Alright then, so now the reward. Remember this? This is what I call the headpiece. It goes across the top of the 4 panels and the tops of those doors or panels meet this, with the exception that it also has this little bead which will go into there, although it'll only stick out about 3/8 of an inch, and it'll have a round over on it. The round over I'm going to cut with the bit I just went to the store to buy. So the trick is, you can imagine that. And then as on this side, it's against the cabin side. Pretty straightforward. It'll just be a plumb cut. On this side, it's got a return. There's going to be another piece of wood coming in beside the companionway, which is the doorway to outside here. And I've got to make the bead return around too. But this is coming down a curve. But when it gets to here, it's going to be straight. There's going to be some carving and some fiddling and some stuff like that. But hey, it wouldn't be fun otherwise, would it? Let's get this and the little companion pieces all ripped down and we can start to put the beads on. Yeah. Okay, now, some of you have said, how come you don't attach a vacuum to the output port on your saw? As well, because I never got around to it. So I just hacked together, this is really a hack, out of some plumbing bits I had lying around. And we're going to try and see how much dust we can recover with my itty, and I mean bitty, little boat-sized shop vac. Are you ready? Yeah. Pretty excited about this. Pretty excited. We'll see. Okay, so let me keep doing what I'm actually doing here. These little 3/8 bead pieces are going to be 1.5 inches. Yeah. Okay. I managed to find my good pair of goggles instead of those miserable things that are just a mess. Okay. I mean, how many pairs of this have we bought over the years? Hundreds of. Okay, vacuum, contact. Why haven't I been doing this all along? More than a few of you are saying, yeah, how come? Okay, excellent. Let's put some more dust in the vacuum cleaner. Oh, yeah. Okay, get some beating done. Okay, so the rotor bit. Well, I think at one time I had a little vacuum porty thing that would go on here, but the thing is, rotor chips aren't nearly as nasty. They're shavings. They don't tend to fill the air or my lungs, so I don't worry about it nearly as much. I know there's lots of little fines with that as well, but until I can maybe set up some kind of vacuum port on here, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, I got to change from this 3/4 round over, which is really a 3/8, double 3/8 to make 3/4, to a 3/16, double 3/16 to make 3/8. And out. Okay, so when you set up the fence for a bit that has a guide bearing on it, it's not nearly as crucial, but I still like it because it gives I don't know. I basically set it up so it just barely touches the bearing, so I just put a little bit of a straight edge on it. So let's get the height sort of close before we go too far here. Although it'll take a couple of test pieces to get that right on. And then I'll take a little bit of a straight edge and I'll just pull that to where it's just about on. Okay, I can see that it hasn't cut all the way down over the edge, so the bit has to come up a little bit. I probably could have told that by eye, but anyway. Okay, that's perfect. I can tell that that's all the way up. If I go too far, I'll see a little line across here where the shoulder of the bit is actually cutting into the work, but I'm not going to bother. This is not a particularly precariously fantastic, important cut. Let's just get going. Yeah. Now that is just beautiful. A little hand sanding to make it, well, it's actually perfect as it is. Okay, let's do the long piece. Very nice. 45 seconds and I'm done with you. 45 seconds and $50. Oh well, I'll use it a lot. Cheers. Okie dokie. Okay, standing, good segue. My gosh, I gotta thank Robin Schaller, I hope I pronounced that correctly, for sending out a box of this fantastic, this is fused zirconium alumina, something like that. This sandpaper will change your life. If you've been stuck using crappy hardware store sandpaper, which sometimes I have to resort to, this stuff is just, it's another world. It's like suddenly your sander is on steroids. It's fantastic. This brand is Tiger Shark. Basically, as long as it's yellow, I find it's that zirconia, alumina, whatever it is, wicked sandpaper. Thanks again, Robin. You can see this has already gone into service. Let's do some sanding and put this away for a rainy day. All right then, so dust collection gets better and better. I have wrapped a bunch of tape around my sander here. As a result, I can now actually use the vacuum on here as well. It's cumbersome, but I don't have to wear the respirator, which is a bloody mess. Okay. Gonna do in here just by hand, I believe. Yes. Oh, very nice. Geometry. Okay, I've thought about it. So this is how it's gonna work. Basically, this is the headpiece, right? And if you're looking facing aft on the boat, it comes down and it has to return back. Let's say it'll be this piece. So I'm not gonna slap it on the end, I'm not gonna slap it on around the back. I'm gonna make that a miter. In other words, I'm gonna put a 45 on both of these. Now, this thing must stay vertical because of the geometry and the way the whole cabinet must look. But it's possible that the top and bottom of it, in other words, this curve here, I'm going to carry on and put a bevel on the top of this, as well as the bottom curve will come along and be a bevel on the bottom of this. So actually when I look at this on the side, there'll be a slight bevel up and a slight bevel. as if it's an extrusion extension of this piece. Now that does a lot for me. It vastly simplifies how the bead is going to work, because it'll just come around the corner and carry on. You have to see it to understand it. Even I do. Ugh! Okay, this is getting a bit frustrating. I am desperately out of wood. The piece I just showed you that I thought would be the return is 2 inches too short. I am out of wood. I am going to have to cut this out of this piece of 1 inch, which isn't the end of the world, but means doing a bunch of ripping just to make a piece of 3/4 inch wood. 3/4 to have lots to work with. Hang on a second. 22. This is 1 inch thick. Technically, I need a 3/4 inch piece to do this. Does it matter? The miter will leave a little bit hanging. No, I can't. No, I gotta rip it. More ripping! Ooh, do I really want... somehow that makes me woozy. In theory, it's fine. Shall we have a look? Oh my gosh! That is an amazing blade. It's an amazing blade. Oh, it reminds me. I want to share a bit of a confession with you guys. See how beautifully that cut? Some time ago, you'll remember that I cut the big set of blocks that was holding the helm underneath the helm here. I did it with this blade in this saw. I know! Oh! Jeez! Right through, like perfectly through, 2 big number 12 stainless steel screws. Perfectly. I thought I'd killed the blade, which is really a shame because it was a gift. It's been perfect. Didn't lose a tooth. It's hot though. It's been perfect. It's still making cuts like this. Like 2 3/4 inches tall. Good blades make a huge difference. Good blades make a really mediocre saw look fantastic. And good blades make a really, really irresponsible carpenter look fantastic. I should keep this like forever, shouldn't I? Okay, all that good blade stuff. I suppose I'm somewhat obliged to tell you what kind of blade it is. I believe it's a Frud. Frud. You know, it's completely cleaned off. Yes, it's a Frud. Lots of teeth. I'll find it now. If I remember, I'll put a link down below in the description. That's if I remember. Anyway, awesome blade. Alright, so this is going to get a miter on it, so that it will meet the curved piece. So let's just put that on, pretty straightforward, 45 degrees. And a square, and we're off to the races. Okay, so that now has a nice miter on it, bevel on it, miter, that's a miter. And try not to damage that. Now the curved piece needs the same cut. Oh no, so this is the front edge. This is where we're gonna cut it. So I'm cutting this way, so that'll come in there. The saw cuts this way, so that's good. Now to cut a perfect 90 degree to the vertical for this, I'll just use another straight edge. This unfortunately does sacrifice the little bit of the end of the wood. And zing, I cut them through. Okay, now if I'm really lucky, I nailed this. Looks pretty good. I think I've said before that this sapele mahogany is so forgiving. No tear out, no fuzz, no, anyway. Okay. So that just goes right on there. And now I will put a bevel on the top edge and a bevel on the bottom edge to match the curves going on here. This is coming together nicely. Yeah. Well, that's all very well, but I'd like to create some support in here to make sure that this is super strong. There's a couple of reasons for that. This cabinetry, there's not much holding it together in this part of it. It has fairly thin panels, and if you remember that this section is open under here actually because it's accessed from the side. Anyway, don't worry about that too much. All it needs is to be really strong, and I have an idea. This is boat after all, so I'm going to make a couple of knees. I think I am. Anyway, let's draw something up here. And I figured this would be just about the right radius for a few things. Good old piece of electrical tape, and a smaller radius at the other end, about there somewhere. Yeah, looking good, looking good. And here, so I'm just shy of that, centered on that. Okay, well, it's sort of a, yeah, I think that'll look pretty good. Okay. Enough there for another one, if I could only hold it. Okay, very nice little knee. Give that a little bit of a sanding, and we're pretty close. All right, very good. So that'll be pretty strong once it's glued up and screwed on. I'll just sand the back just a little bit because when the drill goes through, there's a little tear out, and you want to make sure it's perfectly flat on the other side. Well, I've prepared the knee with some screws ready to go, and I've prepared the straight piece which goes back from here to put a couple screws in, which later I'll bung. What I haven't done is cut the bevels top and bottom. I was going to put it in the saw and keep trying and holding and keep trying, but what I think I'll do instead is attach it permanently and put the bevels on afterwards with the power planer and the sander. I think I'll probably do a better job of fairing it in than I would the other way. Yeah, I think so. Oh, yeesh. Okay, no stress. I'm gonna put a screw in temporarily just to hold it while I drill the other one. All right. So what I'll do here is I'll leave the screw just sticking through a hair, so it'll help me align it when I put it back together. Okay, that alone is a pretty good joint. Okay, now we'll add the, I don't know why I put the screws in here already, because of course I need to drill pilot holes into mahogany. Somewhere there, it doesn't really matter where exactly. Scooch it. Well, that should be a absolutely bulletproof connection. Doesn't look pretty with the little knee in there, doesn't it? Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the beer of the week. Been really looking forward to this. It's been a long day. We've gone back to Moon Underwater, a local brewery right around the corner here, and their beer today is Fashionably Late, kind of a neat name. It's a very turbid beer. I don't know if you can see, but there is a lot of sediment in the bottom here. So I'm not going to swill, spin, shake, whatever. I'm going to pour at least the first glass without disturbing the turbidity, not too much anyway. It appears to be that it's a bit hazy all the way through actually, and then from the second glass maybe I'll give it a little swill. Anyway, we'll know, we'll find out, see if this is any good at all. Not too much head on it, we'll pour a little at the end there. So here we go, Fashionably Late from Moon Underwater Brewery right here. I love the haziness of it. You know I like these hazy beers. That's not a hazy IPA. That's just a nice sort of hazy beer. It's got a bitterness. It's not a sour exactly, but it's, wow, that's a really neat beer. Really neat. I'm going to be having more of this. Very yummy. Obviously, very few of you can actually get any of the beers that I talk about here, but I do like to drink as much local beer as possible. Now it gets confusing. I want to thank everyone who has been so generous on the Amazon wish list, and there was some confusion because of when stuff comes in, it doesn't always have a label as to who sent it. So we can clarify that the 2 battery switches that came a week or 2 ago came from Jeff Wagoneer. Thanks again so much, Jeff. We move along from Martine Alberts, another circuit breaker, and one of the LEDs for the AC circuit. So that's really great. Help me along with that. My gosh, James Rosser sent me along an entire spool of 14.3 wire for the AC circuits. That is really a leap ahead in getting this electrical system done. And then from a previous very generous couple, Elaine and Jim Carberry, a whole box of breakers, more LEDs, and a bunch of shrink terminals, ring terminals. So that's really getting me going. I'm so grateful to you all helping with the electrical system, because it's costly stuff and it means that I can be geared up and ready to go when the time comes. So cheers to you all. Thanks again. So good. While we're cheersing all the generous people in my life, I'd like to thank a new patron this week, Wes Shipman, and from the PayPal, Craig Smith, who has helped me out before, and very generous. Thanks so much. Bringing us to the word of the week. Here we go. Can you tell I'm confused? I actually pulled through all of that. I'm very impressed. So if you'd like to win a Travels with Geordie t-shirt, use the word confused down in the comments below, and I'll pick at random from the first 24 hours worth of comments. And if I pick your comment with the word confused in it, I'll send you off a Travels with Geordie t-shirt. I made it through it all. Oh my gosh. Good night. New favorite.